The Apple TV is an amazing streaming device and a smart home hub for Apple HomeKit. But there's one big thing missing. You can't add or control it in automations through the Apple Home app. So in this video, I'll show you how I made my Apple TV fully HomeKit compatible, unlocking the ultimate smart home theater experience. Hello and welcome to my channel. And today, as part of my smart home journey series, I'm thrilled to show you my ultimate smart home theater setup and walk you through how I've transformed our movie night with smart automations. I mean, we love the theater experience. We go to the movie theater as often as possible, but with this home setup, we brought all of that excitement right here into our home with the budget we had. Plus, I'll also show you a way to get more out of your Apple TV using a Homebridge plugin, so you can control this device through scenes or automations just by pressing play or pause. So let's dive right in. Now, this home theater setup revolves around my LG C2 65-inch TV, which works seamlessly and natively with Apple HomeKit. Now, the C2 delivers stunning picture quality, especially for our movie nights, giving us that deep cinematic Dolby Vision feel right in our living room. Now, to complete the visual experience, I've integrated Philips Hue lighting around the room. I have an LED strip on the back of the TV, two light bars under the TV stand, and Philips Hue blooms on one side of the sofa and on the staircase. Now, these lights are all connected directly to the Philips Hue hub. And for the immersive light syncing experience, we are using the Philips Sync box, which is also integrated into Apple HomeKit using a Homebridge plugin I've covered in a previous video. So as you can see, whenever the TV screen changes, the lights match in real time, creating an immersive environment that pulls us right into the action. It's honestly like having a theater in our living room. Now, of course, no theater is complete without the amazing sound. So for that, I've got the Bose Soundbar 900 with Dolby Atmos support, the bass module 500 that delivers powerful bass, and mind you, this little guy does provide a thump that you can feel with minimal rattle to the surroundings. And talking about surround, we are using the Bose Surround 700. So this setup essentially surrounds us with audio, enhancing the entire movie experience, whether it's action-packed or a quiet suspenseful moment. You really feel like you're inside the scene, and it takes the whole viewing experience to a new level. It's not just sound, it's experience, one that everyone in the room feels. Now let's talk about streaming. I'm using the Apple TV 4K, which is the hub of my entire entertainment and smart home as well. And while the Apple TV is a great device, it does have its own limitations. For example, you can't set up automations that trigger when content is playing, paused, or stopped. But there is a solution. Using Homebridge, I added a plugin that exposes the Apple TV to HomeKit as a set-top box with more advanced controls than Apple's standard integration. This plugin automatically detects my Apple TV on the network, and now I have the option to create more detailed scenes, automations, giving me more control. Now, for HOOBS users, there's a catch. This plugin isn't supported, but it's a great chance to switch to Homebridge if you're interested in more flexibility and support. So, what would we need to make the Apple TV work with Apple HomeKit? First, you'll need an Apple TV. Now, I'm using both the 4K first and third generation models. However, this plugin supports models with TV OS 15 and upwards. Second, within the Apple Home settings, you'll need to set the access level of speakers and TVs in your home app to everybody or anybody on the same network. Third, if you have set up and using VLANs on your network, the Apple TVs and the device running Homebridge need to be on the same subnet. Fourth, and most important, this plugin only supports Linux systems. Next, I have Homebridge running on a Raspberry Pi, which will be the key to the setup. I've also added links in the description on how to install Homebridge on multiple hardware platforms. Alright, let's jump into the setup. I'll show you on how to install the plugin, set up an automation for that true movie theater vibe. Now, before we dive into configuring the Homebridge plugin, a quick shout out to the developer Maximilian for creating this amazing plugin. We'll follow his setup guide from this plugin's GitHub page, and I've added the link in the description. And if you run into any issues, the GitHub issues section is a great resource for troubleshooting. So first, we need to install the Homebridge Apple TV Enhance plugin. Open up Homebridge, go to the plugins tab and search for Apple TV Enhance. Once you find it, click install. Now that the plugin is installed, don't do anything yet. We are going to go ahead and restart Homebridge, and it's up to you if you want to set up the plugin as a child bridge. In my case, I've left it as disabled. Now go ahead and restart the plugin. When the service starts, the plugin sets up a virtual Python environment and installs all of the necessary Python dependencies. Now this step is crucial for the plugin to work. If you run into any errors during this process, you might need to install the virtual environment manually. I had trouble doing this with DSM-6, but if that happens to you, check the issues section on the plugin's GitHub page for potential solutions. After the dependencies are installed, the plugin will automatically detect your Apple TVs, confirming that everything has been set up correctly. Now the next step is not to configure the plugin, but to pair it with the Apple TVs. And for best performance, always connect your Apple TVs to your network with an Ethernet cable, as well as sit close to your TV with your computer to complete the pairing process. Now go ahead and access the link generated by the plugin, which is your Apple TV's IP address together with a random network port. You will be then prompted with a 4-digit PIN code on your TV, and remember, it gets refreshed every 30 seconds. Go ahead and type that PIN in the window and give it a couple of seconds for the pairing process to complete, and you will then see a successful message. Once this is completed, we can now go ahead and configure the plugin. Now within the plugin, you have 3 parts to configure. First, we'll go to the basic section. Any selected options apply to all the Apple TVs unless you have customized settings for specific devices. Then you'll need to go to the device specific override to configure each Apple TV, and it also replicates the same options for that specific Apple TV. In my case, we're going to be following on the living room Apple TV, so let's dive into that setup. Motion sensors and switches. From my setup, I enabled only 3 motion sensors: music, TV, and video. After testing, I found that TV and video behave quite similarly, detecting content like Netflix, Disney Plus, or Apple TV as video. For device state sensors, I only enable idle, paused, and playing, as I based my automations on the motion sensor detecting activity. I didn't enable any additional switches because I didn't find them useful in my setup. However, this plugin allows you to have granular controls over the Apple TV's remote keys. Custom input URLs. Now this feature allows you to create input switches for specific URLs. For instance, you can paste a Netflix or a Disney Plus movie URL and it will show up as an input in your setup. Additionally, make sure to play the movie first in the browser and copy paste the link here. Abracadabra feature. Now this handy option closes all apps running on your Apple TV. By default, it's configured to close 15 apps, and you can tweak this number as well. Volume control and fan control. Now I didn't enable this feature because my Apple TV is connected through the HOOBS sync box, and my HDMI ARC setup didn't allow for the control to work correctly. Discovery settings. Leave this as multicast for smooth operations. You can manually add IPs if needed, but multicast works 99.9% of the time. And I also blacklisted the Apple TV located in the office using the reserved IP address. Lastly, I didn't expose the Apple TV as a set-top box, as it wasn't necessary for my setup, and this only changes the icon in the Apple Home app. Now once you've done all of these changes, go ahead and save the plugin and restart Homebridge service. Once Homebridge is up and running, now let's go ahead and add the Apple TV into the Apple Home app, which is pretty straightforward and simple. Open up the Apple Home app and tap on Add Accessory. Select More Options, find your living room Apple TV and choose it. Enter the pairing code shown on your Homebridge dashboard. Once added, assign it to the appropriate room and give it a name, for example, Apple TV Enhance. You'll also see a list of apps of your Apple TV. Select the ones you want to include and continue. And don't worry, you can always add them later. You'll also see a list of sensors that will be added to Apple Home. After the setup, you can now access your Apple TV directly from the Apple Home app. Now let's go ahead and do a quick demo with the plugin configured, the device added into Apple Home app, and you can now unlock cool features for your Apple TV right in the Home app, as well as gives you the possibilities to create scenes and then move on to automations. You can now turn your TV on and off directly within the Apple Home app thanks to the built-in Wake on LAN feature. You can also shuffle through available inputs and select the one you need or play a custom URL if you have set that up. You can then use the abracadabra option to close all the apps running in the background. Last but not the least, if you want to add or update inputs later, you can go to Accessories, select your Apple TV, click the gear icon and scroll down to adjust your input settings. Now it's that easy to control and customize your Apple TV right in the Apple Home app. Now, when it came to automations, our family decided to keep things pretty simple and practical. So we reserved our movie nights for Fridays and Saturdays, so it only activates when we actually need it. Now, to make it even more smarter, we added sensors to two of our windows, one in the kitchen and one in the living room as conditions to this automation. So let me show you quickly on how I set this up. Now, this approach ensures the automation runs seamlessly and only when it's truly needed. So instead of triggering every day when the family is just casually watching TV. Now, the goal was to create a natural smart home theater experience without relying on buttons or manual triggers. So let me show you on how I set up my automation for the smart home theater experience. So I went ahead and created a movie scene. Now in this scene, certain lights are turned off, the blind closes, and it also powers on the Philips Hue sync box. Then I went ahead to set up the automation, which is called Movie Weekend, and configured to trigger only after sunset. I then created a shortcut where I've asked certain conditions that must be met. Now the living room and the kitchen room windows must be closed using the installed contact sensors. The Apple TV must be in playing mode, which is a motion that must be detected. Now once all of these conditions are fulfilled, it is then only the movie scene can be activated. And just like that, the lights adjust, the blinds close, and the theater mode is ready to go. Now this automation makes it so easy to jump right into that smart home theater experience. Additionally, my kids can also trigger the movie scene manually on demand through a custom panel where they tap a button that dims the lights and prepares them as well for a cozy movie night. So after setting up all of this up, we truly have the ultimate home theater experience, from stunning visuals to immersive audio and smart automations that tie it all together. And the best part, the whole family can enjoy it together. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on our smart home journey. Don't forget to drop a comment below, and also for other exciting DIY smart home projects. Until the next time, my friends, cheers and happy automation.